Yep. Recorded.
All, sounds good to me.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no.
But I would suggest that when we get it into something that looks like it's going to go on and on and on, that we see it up. Because we're trying to get to that future.
That's what I just said, but yeah, you said it again, so it's good. Any brief announcements that any one of the board members needs to make just before we get into the agenda?
Not for me.
Tim?
Nope.
Okay. Public comment, we welcome public comment. As usual, we have hopeful 3-minute limit for anyone speaking. Comments are made at the beginning, but we welcome that anyone from the public, either on the electronic or in person, make comments or ask questions when we get to an agenda item that you'd like clarified or you'd like to make a comment. So we'll open public meeting now. Yep,
To that, if you, during the meeting, if you want to be recognized, just raise your hand for the chairman to recognize.
Exactly. Please wait till you're recognized to speak, and the same thing on the electronic. I
think we have one.
only got one. Yeah, we got one.
Betsy Eubanks. I just wondered, we had talked once about, or a couple of times actually, about reviewing the return ballots. And I wondered what was going on with that, if I could get involved with that. I don't know.
Reviewing return ballots, those go to the clerk of the court. So if you wanted to
Return
see
mail.
These are absentee ballots?
or just return mail?
Return mail.
Ah, return
Okay,
mail.
you just have to set up a time with Gina to come and turn off.
Okay.
That's where we keep the return.
That's okay. Thank you.
And to your point, Betsy, and to Lauren's point, this is being done all over the Commonwealth. People are looking at returned mail, which is available for the public to watch and see and record. So
Thank you.
make an appointment and come in. Any other comments, questions from the public before we get into this? What we're doing? Okay. Minutes, Jim, would you like to?
We have actually, only one is listed here, but we have two sets of minutes. One is from the 9th. I move approval of the June 9th minutes.
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
And I'd like to comment on thank you for making some small adjustments.
Okay, and then the original ballot meeting in Kansas, as you know, didn't make a change on those. Instead of saying none were rejected, grammar police told me it should be none was rejected. You and my father would have gotten along well.
I probably would have gone with all were accepted.
I move approval of June 18th, 2023.
Do you hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we've got minutes. Old business. Bucky, I believe this is your item, Assistant Chief Education Program.
Yes, we had been reviewing the content of that program prior to its release, and we stopped that in May so that we could move on with this primary. And I'd like to get that back on the review schedule for this board. So if there's a convenient time, perhaps we could calendar that.
I think that's a great idea, and we appreciate you bringing it up.
What do we have left to do?
Most of it.
I thought we got through.
No, I think we got through 3 of the modules or 4 of the modules. There are 11. So
And for the public, we are trying, the reason this is such a long agenda, the board, the staff want to try to get ahead of the game. Instead of running around a month or 6 weeks before the election with hair on fire, we want to try to get organized. And we've got a lot of loose ends that we want to improve before we get to the November election. So we're trying to start these improvement sessions. A lot of them will be done in work groups, such as the one Bucky's just bringing up. So we'll set times for people to work on those things. Bucky, do you have time that you would like to suggest for this?
Next week is not particularly auspicious for me. Otherwise,
I
I
agree
would
with you.
suggest it.
I agree with you.
How about Monday, the 21st?
Okay,
Uh,
I have an 11:30 meeting. So we could do it in the afternoon. Yeah. Monday afternoon, 12:30. I think we may need more time than that.
Although after a while, we get sick of each other. So
Well, that's true. You want to start at 9 o'clock
just
on Monday?
9 to 11, that'd be good.
9 to 11, it's fine with me. Jim, is that okay?
Okay.
Okay. Assistant Chief Education Program, 9 to 11 on Monday, the 21st.
That'll be a work. Week.
That's a work week.
Yes.
Okay. Baker Butler precinct size.
Yes. This was something I had sent, and since I sent it, I've answered my own question. I raised the question the registrar had brought up last year, and again, it was discussed earlier this year about how between the early in-person voting and the absentee voting and et cetera, we were at 3,000 and many votes, 3,900 votes at Baker Butler. This is of interest because the code says if you vote 4,000 folks in a presidential election, you need to get yourself a smaller precinct. However, and what I was looking for was guidance in terms of how alarmed should I be about this. Digging into it further, it becomes clear that in 2008, the state Department of Elections created a policy, number 13, 2008-13, which says, with regard to this specific piece of the code and absentee voting, electoral boards may consider or not, as they choose, whether the absentee voting should be weighed as a factor in making the splitting the precinct or redividing, asking to have the precinct lines redrawn, et cetera. Since we only voted approximately 2,000 people in the precinct on voting day last November, it doesn't seem like a matter of great urgency to worry about 4 years from now doing this again. I doubt we'll get over 4,000 in the precinct by then. So this, as far as I'm concerned, this issue is resolved.
Okay.
Can I ask
Sure.
the
That's what I was thinking.
precinct chief for his thoughts?
We had, 200 for this last election. With the early voting, that certainly has taken some pressure off. The presidential election, we did have, I can't remember, probably in the order of 2,000. We had a second DS 200 there, which helped the throughput. But, we handled it pretty well, I thought. I didn't feel overly stressed.
Just so everybody else understands, this is a question that's coming up all over the Commonwealth. And because of the escalation increase in absentee voting, whether it's in-person absentee or mailed out absentee, fewer voters are actually showing up in the precinct on election day because they have other opportunities to vote. The Albemarle board and registrar's office have been very proactive in the past of looking for where precincts, which is the geographic confine for a polling place, whether there's been a lot of development going to take place or taking place, so that when a developer puts up a new housing development with 1,500 houses or people, you think, there are going to be some voters in there. What's going to happen with our polling place? We have been watchful over the last 10, 15 years. Warren knows this because it's very, very hard to, at the snap of a finger, find a new polling place. We just went through that with branchlands. It's not easy. There are lots of restrictions and criteria you have to have for a polling place. So we want to get ahead of it and not have to, at the last minute, try to find a polling place if we need it. But I think Bucky presented this well, and I think we can dispatch. We've had the chief at Baker Butler, so Baker Butler's okay, and we'll
Probably be okay.
be okay.
And if you decide somewhere along the way that's not okay, I think probably rather than splitting them into precincts, probably redrawing a line and giving some more people to either Hollymead or Woodville.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at a map to see if there's a good line. You always have to follow a clearly observable line when you're making a boundary line for a public road.
But it's even better if we don't have to do that at all.
I'm going to take the chairman's prerogative with another piece of old business. We've talked to our friend Richard, who is, as we said, the chief at Baker Butler, and who has written, rewritten, edited, etc., the chiefs and assistant chiefs manuals. And Richard, I'd like to introduce you at this time so that you can comment on what we need to do going forward. And we'll set up a work group to review the manual, depending upon his advice.
Sure. I'm Richard Banko, as mentioned, the chief of Baker Butler, and I also seem to have inherited the maintenance of the manual.
And we thank you.
We had, well, I'm looking for volunteers. We had two pieces of new equipment that came in and limited time to really assess them and go through all the scenarios with them. I don't know what sort of maintenance or support contracts you have with those vendors and suppliers, but I'd certainly like to have, be able to get access to those, maybe some sample databases and support from somebody here to help run through the different scenarios and tune up the manual a little bit in those areas. I think particularly the poll book one is a weak in terms of the special cases. I think the straightforward, someone gives you an ID, you check in and all that, how you set it up, how you take it down. I think that was pretty good. But all the special cases, I think, is kind of weak. So I'd like to, that's really what I want. I'd like to have access to the vendors so I can get their screen capture images that'll be clearer in the manual that way. That's really about it. I know there's been some talk about dividing some other sections out if we want to have a separate section for the provisional ballots and things like that. We can work on that too. But anyway, that's kind of what I'm looking for. There's some support on the new equipment.
And we certainly want to give you any support because you've certainly given us more support than we could ever even imagine. We appreciate it. You've been extraordinarily diligent. And somebody's got, well, you've got a chief's manual there, so you may want to hold it up for the visitors to see just how important that book is, because it gives chiefs and the assistant chiefs the guidance and the instruction that they need to have. When would you like to assemble to do this? Do you have any?
As soon as I can.
Okay.
We have November's coming up, which means the manual probably ought to be ready by the end of, by middle of September. And that's, 60 days away.
Lauren had an errand. Somebody has to get with the printers to get them printed. They need lead time. We need to do editing and corrections, etc. Anybody have a suggestion for time? And wait a minute, Betsy has a question. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. As this is my first time as just come on now, get it together. This was my first time as the assistant chief of CAP, Central Absentee Precinct, and there's no book for that. So I'd like to suggest we put together. I mean, it probably won't need a whole lot of instruction for that, but I mean, not as much as regular precinct, because you guys set everything up. It's not like we have to do anything. But as far as
I wouldn't put it that way at all.
well, there's a lot to yeah.
We have provided the assistant chiefs and the chiefs with the,
I never got one.
well, you were at it at the last minute. But
Well, you
I
were-
think the other ones got it. And I could look back in my email and see if I sent it to you.
I asked you to, but I never received
Because Betsy brings up a point that's been brought up before. CAP is not like any other precinct. It's completely different. The operations, what the officers have to do, everything is different. It has absolutely no resemblance to an election day precinct. So you may know your ins and outs in the chief's manual for election day, but it has nothing to do with CAP. So I would agree that we need to sit down and do a CAP manual for not only the chiefs and the assistant chiefs, but for all the officers, because there are things that have to be done. It's a special place.
It's a defined process.
Thank you. That's a great word. Defined process, and it's done the same way over and over and over and over, but it has to be done
The same way.
the same way. Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you, Betsy. Jim?
I wanted to ask Erin, when she said she
I'm pretty sure
provided,
she went to get a copy
yeah, I don't know what it is.
of a CAP manual.
Let's say, man,
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's what it says, but that's.
And
I don't think I was added at the last minute, so.
the board has never seen the CAP manual. At least I haven't. Nobody else has. So this is
Happy to hear it's out there.
that something's out there. But the number of ballots that are processed by the central absentee precinct grows every year. And it's a big job. And we need to be just as attentive to the CAP as we are to election day or anywhere else. So thank you, Betsy.
Thanks.
Thank you. We will.
is pre-processing considered part of CAP? That would also be in the manual?
Code, the Code of Virginia says it used to be before there was so much absentee. In 2020, the mailed out because of COVID and other reasons, no excuse absentee voting. In 2020, 1/3 of all the votes in Virginia were done in-person absentee. 1/3 of all the votes in Virginia were done mailed back absentee, and 1/3 precincts on election day. That varied between localities, certainly, and now it varies with elections. But we have a lot of other means of returning ballots. And so the code was written that says, it used to be that we had early CAP, and that's what everybody called it. Whether it was accurate or not, that's what everybody called it. And the CAP officers met and they started reviewing the material information that they have to do in CAP. And then the code was changed and it says CAP shall begin on election day. And everything that's done, same job, exactly the same job by the Office of Election. Everything that's done before election day is called pre-processing.
And it falls under the registrar's office, basically.
Well, except it's a CAP,
It's a
and it's an
CAP.
Office of Election.
Just
And
like, in-person early vote.
not sure we can discuss that later. But it's a precinct. So it's early. Okay, guys, want to look at the time to look at CAP? We've got Monday the 21st.
Wait,
I'm
we're
sorry.
looking at something for
We
chief manual.
Richard is
Not the CAP manual.
Richard's manual first.
Yeah, we finished that. We're doing
No, we
that.
haven't set
No,
a
we
time
didn't
to
set
do
a
anything
date.
for Richard.
I thought we set 9 o'clock on Monday the 21st.
Well,
Or
that's the assistant chief education program.
Sorry. Thank you. Okay, Richard,
Take it down.
anybody want to do another day that week?
Sure.
We'll look at Thursday. You've got a meeting. At what time? What time do you need to exit the building, Jim?
On Wednesday?
Yeah.
11:45.
So you want to, Richard, you think 9 o'clock for that would be good?
On Wednesday?
On Wednesday, the 23rd? Going once? Yeah. Okay, 9 o'clock. Chief's manual. Aaron and Lauren, do you think you can round up any sort of information that we may need for whole book information,
I
et
would
cetera.
need to talk to Richard.
I know you
know
do.
exactly what it is.
Sure.
Okay.
So him and I
Yes.
should maybe talk this afternoon.
Okay. Okay, and we will do, now we've got to do a CAP manual meeting.
How's Thursday of that week?
Thursday, Thursday going once?
Well, since I'm not involved in CAP, I would not have anything to contribute to that. But like,
So is the one that's offered by the state not sufficient?
No.
Have you seen it?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you seen
I have glanced at it, but I'm not really familiar with the procedures in CAP to render a judgment on whether it's sufficient or not. But I'd be happy to have a conversation about it.
We can do that.
when you said earlier, we had it for the chiefs, I didn't know what it meant. Does it mean,
it? There's a election
state-
day, guide, just like there is for regular precincts that we give to
that
them.
this is a state,
This is one for CAP, yes.
we didn't know.
No, we didn't create it, no, but I printed it and sent it to the chiefs of CAP and gave it to them when we met.
And it's what we have. I'm assuming that's what we have always used. I don't know that the chiefs before had
I think
a
there's nothing
separate
wrong.
manual. Yeah,
I think there's never
it's
been
always
anything.
been the state guided
And
manual.
it
Yeah.
needs to have some, we need our own, certainly following state law, but you want to look at the 24th, Thursday, the 24th at 9:00
Looks good to me. Good for you.
for the CAP? Anybody? Okay, y'all,
Why should we do
are you out? Are you out, Aaron? Is that the question?
Yes.
Okay.
that? She's
Are you out that whole week or is, okay.
What about
Monday, the
Monday, the
28th
28th? Yeah.
at 9:00? The CAP? Okay.
You didn't want to read all that email.
9:00, Monday, the 28th, CAP. So we've got 3 meetings set, all of them at 9:00, Monday, the 21st, Wednesday, the 23rd, Monday, the 28th. Does anyone have any other questions for Richard? Because Richard is doing so much work. We want to let him leave if he wants to. Yep, go ahead.
There was something else that came up on this topic.
Yep.
The question of whether we should have separate manuals for specialist positions. And I would opine that it would be better to have sections of the chief's manual that could be pulled out to stand
I
alone
agree.
as separate manuals and
And-
handed out to individuals. So from a direction standpoint, that is the direction.
I think
we
that's
would
where
like to
Richard's going with this.
Don't we sort of do that now?
We sort of do that for the, you know, if you look at it, there's, you know, greeter, the poll book, the poll pad operator, the
DS 300.
DS 300, ballot officer. You know, there's all those. I don't have a separate section, say, for provisional ballots. I don't, you know, I wouldn't mind having one for a person that hangs up the signs, maybe expand that. There's a table in there where they're supposed to go, but just maybe, you know, it doesn't have to be a big one, but
The
just
sign
something.
official.
A sign official, yes. So that you can give it to that person, so they can go hang up the signs, you know. So yeah, I can add or pull out some of those functions into separate sections.
How about if we talked about these separate specialty sections at the chief's manual
Sure.
discussion?
Yeah, no problem.
Because the discussion has also been, and I've spoken about this a lot. I think the officers need something to read. but whether they will, something they need as a reference. And it can be sections of the chiefs, it can be broken down, but they need to have something that they can use as a reminder, because just coming to class, you may not hear what's said.
Yeah, my hope would be that sections of the manual would be
Yeah.
used for training,
Exactly.
and, that they would they're gonna be an EO or a poll pad training, they get the poll pad section at training, and then, they can write notes on that, and they can bring that in on election day.
Which is why we need to make sure that the chiefs are identifying the jobs for their officers in advance.
And I think those sections are actually handed out in envelopes or folders on election day. They're included in where we put the manual sections. And so they are there.
Any other questions on these work groups? Okay. New business.
Thank you, Richard.
Go ahead. Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Yeah.
Absolutely. Next topic is provisional logs. What happens to the provisional logs? And why don't they go where they're supposed to? Which is why we did 2 separate sections this year, morning and evening. And I would suggest that before the November election, we do our provisional ballot, same day registration, 2 sections on 2 separate weeks. Because if somebody's out of town, they're out of town. Doesn't matter whether it's 6 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock at night, they're out of town. And we need to make sure that everybody gets it and that that we prepare something in writing. And we,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
not tracking you. Sorry.
Okay, we did same day registration and provisional ballot. We had classes last year.
Training. There you go.
Training. I'm sorry.
Not canvas and review, but
No,
training.
no. Sorry. I think we need to
I
have.
don't think we should be out during canvas. If we're on vacation, that's no good.
That won't work. Although for some people, our training, since Richard's still in the room, I think we need a real handout for how to do provisional ballot same day registration in the polling places. So it's written down.
Oh yeah, this is back to that manual
back
section.
to the
Sure.
manual section.
Don't disagree.
So that everybody gets it. Okay, go ahead. Now. I jumped ship.
Okay. So as we were
Go ahead.
doing the provisional review and as part of our canvas, it came up that provisional logs were often, I think I counted 10 different precincts where they were not attached to the outside of envelope 1A, where we had asked for them to be attached, which then began for those 10 or so precincts, the hunt for finding that. And I think ultimately we managed. But this caused me to look at, well, why aren't we following the standard? And then I found, we're not following the standard. It's not just we haven't trained our EOs properly or our chiefs properly. The state says, put this stuff in envelope 8. And I began to wonder, why don't we just do that? Already a third of our precincts aren't doing what we want them to do with it. Jim?
Yeah, the state guidance says the provision, this is partly for the public, these provisional logs where you have to
Abstract.
key in everybody that did a provisional. It says they're supposed to go into envelope 8. We asked them to be with envelope 1A. And the reason has to do, as I understand it, and I'm going to ask Lauren to elucidate on this, due to the fact that our clerk of court deputizes our election manager, so she's a deputy clerk of court, submitted the envelopes that kind of automatically are supposed to go to the clerk report don't go there for a couple of weeks because they don't need to, because they are under the control of a deputy clerk report who happens to be our election manager. Now, having said that, I still don't understand why they want them in envelope 8.
I think that they want them in envelope 8 because that's one of the
We can
envelopes that
open
we
We
can
can
open. We don't have to get permission.
So
From
you
the
have to
state.
open envelope 1A.
You all can. We can't. So if Alex is looking for a log to make copies before we start the provisional ballot meeting, he can't go into envelope 1A until you guys open it. We're not authorized to open those.
Exactly,
So envelope 8, we can open.
exactly.
So the difference is that the electoral board has access to
Yes,
1A,
but not us.
you don't.
And you guys need it to make copies and other
Yes.
stuff, so. We're shooting ourselves in the foot by creating a new process that isn't the standard.
Exactly.
I mean, it is, Richard points out,
For
documented
years-
this way.
For years, we had left the wording on the form, placed in envelope 8, but no one.
No
they
one
still
puts it in
don't
envelope
put it
8.
in envelope
No,
8.
they're usually putting in envelope
They put
2.
it- Yeah,
Thank you. Or wherever.
or where, yeah, or they'll
Well,
seal it
they'll
in
put
one
it
A
in
with
1A.
the provisional ballot envelopes.
It seems to me to be more reasonable to have it as 1A, because that's where the actual provisional envelopes are, rather than putting in a completely different envelope.
Let me reiterate what Lauren just said. The provisional ballot laws, which are, and we've worked on these in the past to get them done properly and standardized on tear-off sheets. And this all sort of hit the fan in the last 3 or 4 years when we had more same-day registrations. And there were so many provisional ballots, because to do a same-day registration, you have to do a provisional ballot. The logs are 5 names and information for the people who vote a provisional ballot. And it can be how many ever hundreds of, never say thousands, in a precinct. Somebody in the registrar's office, Alex now, has to make copies of all those logs from each precinct. Each member of the electoral board gets a copy, and the one representative from each of the parties, or in a primary, a representative from a candidate gets a redacted copy. So, and that's a lot of copying. And if you can't get it started until the board meets, you're behind the 8 ball when you start, because you can't start the provisional ballot canvass until all the logs are available. So and besides that, it's state regulation. And if everybody in the state does the same thing the same way, there's less confusion. We get into trouble when each locality starts doing it their way. And then it's not uniform.
No, I'm still not comfortable with the log being separated from what it is logging, i.e., envelopes.
Well, I mean, but it is.
It is separate. It's
A third of the time, they're not where they ought to be right now. And I'm gathering that this was not a unique election in that regard.
No.
The logs are often not quite where they belong.
That's correct. And it makes
Well, they
it very,
weren't anywhere, I can't think of any case where if they weren't attached to the front of it, they were inside. I
Oh.
can't remember any of them
For-
being an envelope 2.
Oh, no, we had some that we couldn't find inside
Yeah.
the envelope and we had to hunt for them.
and that's not the first time that's happened. You're right. So if you have a standard, the individual sheets with 5 names go in envelope 8, which is what the code elect says that's the way it's supposed to be. That's why you got envelope 8. The other big envelopes that have the green envelopes that are the provisional ballot information that the voter fills out go in a different envelope, and they're sealed. And as Lauren just pointed out, the board opens those. The registrar has to be able to see the same day registrations because the registrar's office has to get that person registered if they're eligible to be registered and tell the board with all the other provisional ballots, which is why the provisional ballot canvas is delayed until Monday. If that person has voted for provisional ballot somewhere else. So the logs need to be second and they need to be copied. But
Lauren, what say you?
I'd like to see them in envelope 8. That's my motion. I move that we change our written procedures and instruction to ask for the provisional logs to be in envelope 8.
I get thoughts from Lauren on this?
I don't have an issue with them being made. It'll be easier for Alex to get to them or whoever's making the copies. I think it's going to take a couple of elections so before they all end up in envelope 8 because people are going to do whatever they're used to doing and they don't really read instructions. So for the next couple of elections, we're going to have to know them. We're still going to have to hunt for them.
I agree.
people don't pay, we agree, but we need to emphasize, and there's a wonderful, got it, not on this machine, but I've got it on the machine. There is a great envelope PowerPoint, and it's just envelopes. This is what goes in this one. This go. It's a quick. I would offer that we ought to use a PowerPoint like that. Richard's got information in the manuals about envelopes, but
No, part of the chief's training ought
It's
to include
envelopes.
envelopes. And we could always send out those closing officers who've been specially trained on that. Anyway,
Well,
sorry.
considering
Full
that
business.
It's different.
full
we
business.
have 30 precincts doing it, and in a big election, there might be 4 pages per precinct, which doesn't have university. That's a big pile of provisional ballot logs, and all that other stuff is going on below there too, the registration application.
Authorized representative forms,
Confirmation.
confirmation, yeah, all of that.
So we're gonna have to have a bigger envelope. So we're gonna have to
So
give them more than one.
Envelope eight's pretty big.
Maybe-
Envelope eight's
maybe
a
more than
long
one.
envelope as it is.
It's a bigger envelope.
The university is going to need
Two of them.
probably
I
a
don't
different
think they
place.
make them bigger.
You have a box.
Well, we put them all to one. Well,
Or
maybe-
make one.
Anyway, that's a
Like you
logistical
talked
question
about,
we can answer
one
after this.
Specific to provisional ballots.
Like we did
We're
for
gonna
the,
get them to envelopes. And
Okay,
then Alex or whoever wouldn't have to dig through all
Right.
the other
Steve could still get,
comes in.
right, and then Alex could get, okay.
I think there's a motion on the floor. Bucky, restate your motion.
I move that we change our practices, our training, and our documentation to reflect that provisional logs should be stored in envelope 8 at the end of the day on an election day, as opposed to the various and sundry places where they are being put today.
Wait a minute. Is there a second on this motion? Second the motion. Discussion.
Don't forget the provisional ballot log on envelope 1B.
Thank you. That's what I was, thank you. There is a summation that's attached to the envelope.
Now, he's talking
This
about
is this
that
is
what
order.
no, this is
Talking about
1B. We have a
the
court
after
order.
hours log.
Yeah.
Right. Is that what you're talking about? There is a
No, if we have a
provisional log after hours.
After hours is
Right.
different.
let me amend my motion to be for envelopes 1A or 1B if used, so that the same practice would apply to both. Both of them would end up with their provisional logs in envelope 8.
Depending upon whether it's an after hours,
Right.
because everybody understands, thank you very much for bringing that up. If the court orders extended hours, everyone who votes in a polling place on election day during the court-ordered extended hours after 7 p.m. must vote a provisional ballot because a higher court could render that decision not necessary, and those provisional ballots would not count. They're never open. The envelope is never open. They're sent to the clerk, never to be seen again until they're shredded. So we have two separate, on the rare, very rare occasion when you have extended hours for provisional ballots.
So your motion is actually to move that we direct election officials to place all provisional ballot logs in envelope 8.
That are cast during regular polling hours.
All provisional ballot logs, whether they would have been attached in the past to 1A or 1B.
Okay. I don't think so. I think you've got to keep, the code says you've got to keep the extended hours provisional ballots
Sure.
separate.
And those ballots will be in envelope 1B.
Correct.
And the logs will be there you'll have a separate set of
Logs. There'll be a separate
set of logs.
Okay.
Yeah,
got
for
it.
each one.
Okay.
That's
All
fine.
the question?
All the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Grudgingly, aye.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you, Greg. The Grinch. Okay, next is whether officers of election should be assigned in their home voting precinct.
That's not the question.
Is that right?
No,
What's your
the
question?
state code tells us where practicable
Right,
officers
exactly.
of election should be assigned
Exactly.
to their home precinct, clearly anticipating that it's not always going to be practicable. And this last election is a great example. The last handful of officers we had, we needed them in specific precincts, which often was not where they lived, and now they're on that team. Completely understandable how we got to where we are, but where we are is, I don't have a hard number, but it's somewhere in the 30 to 40% of the officers of election are actually working in their home precinct, and the rest of them are not.
And the majority are not working in their home precinct?
That is how I have interpreted the data that are available today.
And we may have incorrect data.
Yeah, anyway, so you can see how the drift would occur over time. Nobody ever gets to move back, and many people are probably happy where they are. I don't want to disrupt that. What I am wondering is there an opportunity to canvass the officers of election and say, hey, particularly the ones who aren't working in their home precinct, you're not working in your home precinct. If the opportunity came available, would you be interested in moving to your home precinct? And we ask only because state code says we should try to do this. We're not asking because of any other reason. We don't want to get you out of there and into here. Just code says we should, where we can, try to do this. So that's the topic I wanted to bring up. I can't think of a better way to do this than to ask the officers if they have any interest in moving. I think a lot of them will say, no, I like the team I'm on. They have really good Swedish meatballs. I want to keep coming to this precinct. But some of them may go, driving all the way out to Crozet when I live, near Pantops, I'd rather do that. And if we have enough people who are both doing the same thing, or we can make enough sideways slides to connect 3 dots, we might get some people back in their home precinct. We might be better off than we are now. And I would certainly rest well at night knowing that where practicable, we had tried to do this. Yes, absolutely.
I think that we already do that as we can. I know that a lot of our election officials reside in the Crozet area, which would create a huge problem if all of them went to work in elections.
Yeah, I think the majority of our election officials come out of Ivy, but yeah, there's no way for all of them to work there.
Right.
So I don't know how that works. If you don't have, nobody was working at Hollywood and Northside and they were going.
Hear me, I wasn't asking them all to work in their home precinct. I'm asking.
And I've not gotten any complaints from election officials about where they work. I've gotten some people to request to be moved closer to their residents, and we've accommodated them. But when they, but most people are, I'll go where you need me to go because I want to do this work.
And
Good to hear.
And there are also people that you probably do here, because we've seen the statements written out. I've got to stay in the precinct where I am, and you can't make me move. I'm not going to move. I like where I am, or I'll quit. So you've got a spectrum.
That was mostly from chiefs who thought that they were going to be moved around because of other reasons.
I'm not sure that's.
Anyway,
To me, I don't know what
But
it said.
We don't hear. We don't hear this.
so the question I'm posing is it worth asking the question of the EOs? Explaining why we're asking, because if you don't explain, people will just assume, oh, I've done something wrong and they want to get rid of me. But explaining has nothing to do with you. It's all about what the code says. And you don't have to move. There's no pressure on you to move. But if you had a latent desire to do so, this would be a good time to let us know, so that if there's a possibility, we'll see if we can do that. No promises made.
Yes, I think we should.
I mean,
definitely
all the
have that.
caveats in the world, just open the door and say, let us know.
I wouldn't want people to think because we're asking. the
Nothing
question,
automatic.
oh, they're
No, no.
gonna move me. Yes, I get to.
Yeah, no.
Drive to Scottsville. No, you might still have to drive to Scottsville.
And the email questionnaire could be very simple. Name, where you're registered to vote, where you have been working as an EO. Code says blah, blah, practical. Would you like, if possible, go back to your home precinct? We don't know whether, maybe already full, or would you like to stay where you are? I mean, those are simple, easy to quantify responses. And if somebody says, no, I live on Pantops, but I really like working at Crozet, great, you're out of the mix.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, but Jim has his hand up.
I'll defer to you and then come back.
We also have this big elephant in the room about party carrying.
Gotta have party fair.
Creates a huge issue with the sign.
Yep.
So I wouldn't want all of my Republicans to say they want to work at Crozet.
Right. You got the same problem. Yeah. It's
So
not just
I think
head
that
count,
it
it's what
creates-
flavor of head you've got
Yeah,
everywhere. Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know.
I don't think so. Not if they know that because we're asking the question doesn't mean that you get to move.
Exactly.
Like we're just asking a question.
We're just gathering data.
Yeah, we're not saying, hey.
No promises.
Yeah.
Just
So I don't think it will create, and now it may create a call. So you ask me, are you moving me? And we'll say, no, actually, it wasn't practical, so we're not moving you. You're staying where you are.
I think when we ask folks this, we should tell them, we will let you know before the next election if we were able to accommodate any requests that you make.
Well in advance.
Just so that they don't then have to send you an email and then 3 days later, another one and another one and another one.
Please read the email. Yes,
And put the onus on the officers of election to to send an email back to you, request, make it clear that they've got to take the initiative. You've opened the door, they've got to take the
We're
initiative.
not going to chase them.
No.
Right.
No.
Logistics. One, you're talking about sending this email only to those people who don't work in their home precinct, right?
No, I
Not
think
to everybody.
you send it to everybody, because that saves each of the I'm coming to you. That saves them looking up where somebody's first question, name, where are you registered to
But
vote?
we know
Where-
that.
well,
He has all that.
But then it's right there on the email, and it's easy to document, and it's right there in
Well,
one
if I-
place.
If I'm working in my home precinct, Country Green, and I live in Country Green, why would I want to get an email saying, do you want to work in your home precinct? I'm in my home
Well,
precinct.
it's a good opportunity to introduce the topic to all the EOs, because if you get some new folks in your precinct that weren't there before and they tell you, well, I used to work in, they will understand that it may be because of this reason.
Second question, when and to whom does this go? To people that worked last November? To people that worked in June? Who does it go to? Because we don't know at this point who's working November.
we all know that there are certain people who cannot work in June because it's June. That's the problem with June primaries. So we use the list of all of the currently appointed eligible to work EOs.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
Because
I mean, basically, your actives.
Right, the active EOs.
Yes, is there an issue or how do we come to this point?
Please identify yourself and let everybody know who you are and where you are in office of election.
Lewis Johnson, 501 Precinct,
Thank you.
Assistant Chief. Is there an issue or how do we come to this point for this discussion?
Lewis, the issue is the state code says that where practicable, officers
I
of
understand
election
the
will be
state code
assigned.
says
And we don't have that. And I'm raising the question, is there a practicable way we could do better?
Chief.
Just as a question, that from the code, it doesn't say you have to ask the EO, right?
No.
It just says we're practical. And it sounds like that's what Aaron's doing. So, are you making a lot of fuss?
Am I making a lot of fuss?
Or are we making a lot of fuss over?
We may be, but the point I have observed is that we got to where we are by small increments over time. And it may be that if this is a very bad analogy, but I think you'll understand where I'm trying to come from. If we threw all the cards up in the air again and then sorted them out, we'd have a much better, allotment of people in their geographic zone. And that's all I'm asking is to put on the table the opportunity for the cards to throw themselves up in the air and see if they can come down in a different pile.
Once again, this is not a suggestion that says we're going to put you back in your home precinct. We don't care what you are. That's not what this is saying. It gives us a better database, more information. And as Aaron correctly points out, we've got to try to get people by party. So frequently people are moved from their home precinct if they're willing to go someplace else in order to achieve party parity. This gives us a place where we can look without having to pull up a whole bunch of it's in one data file. Yes, ma'am.
Amber Baker,
Georgetown.
Georgetown.
I
don't work in my home precinct.
You're fine.
But I'm assuming that assignments were made about where it was practical to have people and party parity. And that we have done that already. And that you are, in my opinion, going to be stirring up the ones list. Because what happens if you have all these people that live in Ivy or Crozet and they're like, yeah, I want to go back there. And how are you going to pick who gets to go back there if there happens to be an opening? How do you pick the 5 out of the 5 people that want to go back there? Which one gets to go?
And you may be absolutely right.
If people are happy, why take that opportunity to serve? If you have people, you've got your cards, you've got people bringing, why mess with it? You've got something that's working right now, why mess with it?
Precinct assignments are changed for multiple reasons, as we discussed. And some people may not know why they live in Earlysville and they're working in Scottsville.
I bet they do know.
Well, they may not.
They were asked.
Well,
They were
yeah,
asked,
they should be asked. Absolutely, they're asked. They're asked.
I mean, they're not just that you're going and not told why. I mean, they'd be like, hey, why am I home in Scottsville? That's not where I live. That's not where, or they're talking about it.
But if Clarice asked me to work at Georgetown, by now I might be ready to think about working back in Earlysville where I would normally vote.
And I would hope that you would talk to this people about that.
Most election officials do. They'll contact me or Alex and say, do you still need me to go out to that? So if they're willing to do it.
Yeah.
But we have people who will ask if they can, as people age also, because we have to look at the demographics
Right, it's part of
whoever
the
elected
drive
officials
late at
are.
night.
So as they get older, they don't want to drive at 5 in the morning
Right.
that distance. So they do ask.
Right.
And we try to accommodate.
Stir up needlessly and put extra work on the staff to send these emails and then deal with, people calling or emails or, I just think it's a lot of needless.
I tend to agree with you, Ann.
I think if the questionnaire is phrased as we discussed, we're just trying to get data so that we know where people are, we know where they would prefer to be. Doesn't mean you can be there.
You know where they're assigned. What data do you want?
Where they're registered, whether they want to stay there or not. We know you can't always get what you want. But
You raised, and you raised some real good points there. I would suggest two things. One, that this proposal would be a one-time, let's see how this works thing, not something we'll do every year, every 2 years, every 3 years. And two, that the registrar and the elections manager make their own decisions about how to reallocate these people when they propose, who's going to be on what roster to the electoral board. That we're not reaching in and saying, the person who applied first or the person who's been working longest. It's, you guys can weigh all the factors that would go into that to differentiate of the 5 people, for example, who would move from one place to the next.
But isn't your party parity really difficult to get your party parity? And if you got it.
Absolutely.
why messing with it?
Absolutely.
People are happy, why messing with it?
There may be no opportunity for anyone to move if anyone, if we don't have enough staffing, if we don't have the party parity we required, there may be no opportunities, but there may be too.
And just to correct you, we don't have absolute fear.
Well, I mean, if you're
Anybody in the room wants to recruit some more Republican.
if you're still
election.
trying, I mean,
We need them,
okay,
but we are striving for parity.
Okay.
We don't have it.
okay.
So I agree that it would shake it up even more if we had to move people, but Bucky's not suggesting that we
Right.
have to.
Right.
If you have a D and an R who want to be in the opposite, well, there's an opportunity.
Right. But can I point out that it is on the election official application.
Would you work somewhere
Would
else?
you work outside of your home? Yes. But if they say no, then when Erin does assignment, she as best she can accommodates their requests or puts them very close to their homes.
So you want, we call the vote.
I still think it's a good idea.
I do too. I think the more data we get of where people are, where they want to be, the better shot we have at making people happy, with the understanding that just because you want to go home doesn't mean you're going to be able to go home.
I would like the registrar's office to script the inquiry, because you guys are going to have to be dealing with the feedback.
If you could script it and bring it to the next board meeting, so we know what it is. Is that okay?
Send us a copy to look at. How about that? You don't have to bring it to the next board, because we might well want to do this before the next board meeting.
We may have suggestions.
But once you get a copy, you send your suggestions back. Certainly, if they're written, but I'd like the registrar's office to be responsible for the content of the understanding what it is we're trying to achieve.
Okay, anything else on that topic? Provisional same-day registration review, proposed changes.
Yeah,
This may take.
this may take a minute. The essence of this is, I am concerned in the process that we follow to review provisional ballots and the increasing number of provisional ballots we have, that we will necessarily run out of time at some point in the future if we continue increasing provisional ballots. And looking around the state at other locales, one of the leading ground was Montgomery County, where Blacksburg is located, where in a 6-hour window of time, according to the minutes of their meeting, they processed 4,000 of these last November. they're obviously following a different process. And when you read all of the minutes regarding the canvassing process, they rely extensively on the registrar to tell them, when will you have finished your review for same-day registrations? And when will you have finished your review for the absentee ballot issued but not returned, reason number 4 provisionals? And schedule their provisional review after that. So they're relying on what the registrar's office does. And I wonder if we might be able to make better use of the registrar's office review of those materials in our processing to expedite our process.
I think we did that a lot for this election. We went through all the provisional ballots and determined the reason for the provisional ballot and sorted them so that the registrar's office would know whether they are same-day registrations or whether they're any one of the other provisional reasons. And the ones that are other reasons, we can start working on earlier. But all of the provisional ballots, by the nature of the provisional ballot and the same-day registration, are time sensitive of when it occurs. When someone changes their registration, and again, the registrar's office has to do this by 5 o'clock, 5:30, 5 o'clock, 5 o'clock on Friday, 5 o'clock on Friday. They have to send in all the information to elect of the time the provisional ballot or the same-day registration. Because remember, we've got same-day registrations the last 3 weeks of in-person absentee voting. So if someone did a same-day registration in Chesterfield, notice I didn't say him like that, in Chesterfield, on the first day of whenever it's available, and then they come to a precinct and want to do a same-day registration, move it to Albemarle, and do another provisional ballot, they can change their registration. So it's the most recently applied registration. That counts.
Mm-hmm.
But if they've already cast a provisional ballot in Chesterfield 2 weeks before, then we have to reject their provisional ballot in Albemarle because they've already cast. It's first in on provisional ballot. And the only way we know that is because Lauren and her staff send all this data into elect.
Yes.
And we have to know that.
Yes. We're in complete agreement
Okay.
so far.
The other thing that the board is, we are responsible for checking because everybody makes mistakes. Each one of us makes a mistake every day. Some of them are more serious than others. And what the registrar has to tell us is this person registered under the Code of Virginia? She checks.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have to determine whether they put in all the information that they have to put in for their provisional ballot. And we have to be responsible for all of that. So I don't know how we can, I know that there are other places, and Fairfax had 14,000,
Mm-hmm.
and they've got designated, assigned assistant electoral boards because they don't look at all 14,000. 3 people. You couldn't do that. But that number has not gotten so great that we can't look at them. And we do. And I think that's their job.
Well, I went back and looked at the minutes from last November. Times, because of ballot meeting, when they started, when they ended. And I came up with 30 hours that we spent last November on the provisional ballot. Which is, and we were running, we finished it, we had to finish by 5 p.m. Friday, and we finished it by 3:50
No,
p.m. on
Well,
Friday.
last November, we
It's
came
different.
very close to not being on time. And I was getting calls every day from elect as to why I didn't have numbers put into the system. And obviously it was a presidential election. They wanted the numbers. And so they were calling them. I wasn't in the office. I was with you guys. Gina took a lot of the calls. And they wanted to know, like, what are you guys doing? Because there were people who had a lot more than we did, who already had their numbers submitted to the state.
I think I'm trying to use a word that is not hyperbolic or antagonistic. But we're all out here working. The registrars are working. The boards are working. Elect is working from home, sitting someplace. And for them to hassle you, I would have been happy to have taken one of those calls through. They might not have liked it. But you can only do what you can do. And the code says this is the deadline. We're working on it. Every time I have to talk to you in elect, you're taking me away from the time I can do my job. So, and I think we've got a pretty good system. And I think it's our responsibility as a board to check all the envelopes to make sure we're done properly. I'm not saying you're not doing it correctly. I'm not even remotely saying that. I'm just saying in the midst of a lot going on, it's easy to miss something. That's why the checks and balances on everything we do.
Well, my sample size of observing this is small. I've seen only 106 of these, but of the 106 that we reviewed, all of them were either reason 1, same day registration, or reason 4, absentee ballot not surrendered, which meant all of them had been reviewed by the registrar staff before we got to them, either to determine that the person had voted already and or hadn't voted, and therefore their absentee ballot was okay, or their registration information had been put in. And we accepted all 106. The registrar's office didn't raise any issues on the ones that they were looking at to us. I feel like we're not making effective use of the time spent by the registrar's office, because for those 2 categories of provisional ballots, they are doing a review of those. In the case of the absentee ballot, these are registered voters. The issues being considered there are much different from same-day registration. But in both categories, they are being reviewed by the registrar's office, and we're not making much advantage of that pre-review for those 2 categories.
So you asking that we get nothing but a stack, and we're supposed to check the stack, not look at any of them? Is that what you're saying? I'm not sure I understand.
In my proposal, I suggested something not far from that, but said that if we wanted to make a cursory review, if we wanted to sample, take 2 or 3 out, if we wanted to, use any process we wanted to validate what the registrar's office had already done for these 2 kinds of ballots, we could achieve the same result we had achieved. Now, spending 2 hours at this last election didn't, this is not onerous. My concern is, what if there's a registration drive at UVA? And like Tech last fall, UVA ends up with 4,000.
It happened.
We don't actually have enough scheduled days to process that unless we're working 16-hour days.
Well, I don't think we need to work 16-hour days, because when you work that long, you make mistakes.
Yes.
And again, I'm not saying the registrar's office is making mistakes. Please do not in any way think that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, it's our responsibility to look at all those applications. And one of the reasons that we had such a problem in November of 2024 was because the problem we've already discussed, the logs were in who knows where. They weren't in the place where when Jonathan went in to pull them out to copy them, they weren't there. So it was trying to get the logs copied. So if we can get that one piece straightened out, that will reduce the time spent running back and forth, trying to make copy logs. I think we ought to go through this election with what we've got. And the system that we used this year, I think, worked really well. And we whipped through those quickly.
Are you talking about
Provisionals.
this June?
Well, yeah. Yeah, for June. Because we changed the process that the board used between November and June. Not drastically, but we changed it.
I don't think we're going to be up against it for this coming election. I'm willing to wait to move on this, but I'm more than interested in looking at this again after we have more data.
That's
in another
great.
election.
That's great.
Okay.
I'm all for more data.
All right.
Okay. Let's make this one.
You guys want to go to your agenda?
That's great if you want. I would love to. The first agenda item that I put in was to post the regular meeting work group for the manual. We've done that. For the meeting. The contract, this was very good consideration. We had a new precinct at Branch. And the church staff, the ministers, did their contract. And for their purposes, they needed to make sure for insurance, if they didn't have a contract, somebody fell on church property, then the church was liable. So they didn't get a contract. I talked to another person, and they didn't have a contract either. So I want us to
Well, we
make
need
sure.
to set up a meeting with the county attorney because they handle all of the contracts and agreements.
What other
I don't
polling
know
place
what
does
other
not?
polling place, and
I don't have a
Franklin's
full- I
does
haven't
have
asked
a
everybody.
contract now. They
So
have
should-
one on election day. The
Every-
county attorney worked very hard on election day. I mean, there are some things that I would like to say probably an executive session,
That'd be great.
about that situation.
That'd be
But they did have a contract on election day. They had
Yes,
all
they
the
did.
insurance
They did.
paperwork.
They did.
They did.
And this would not apply to the schools. We're talking about
Nope.
the other 12 or 13.
Right, because the schools are county property. So we don't necessarily have agreements set up with the schools. But the county attorney would have all of the contracts and agreements that we have with the other polling places.
Just to make sure I understood you, for purposes of minutes, you said that Harvest Church did have a contract on election day.
They did.
We got it on election day.
But to follow up on the topic, at least what we can do in open session, can we suggest that the registrar work with the county attorney and have a look at all of the contracts and make sure they're, current, they're not expiring soon, put together some information about all of them so you know when we need to tickle them about, hey, it's time to renew, North Side or, what have you.
Well, where's the wording that needs to be updated because of anything else that's changed in the contract law?
Not contract law, election.
Yeah,
law.
election.
Election. law.
Both.
I'm not going to ask the registrar now.
No,
Ask
no,
the
no,
county
ask the
attorney.
registrar. No, the county attorney.
Yeah,
is
sure,
the
county
contract
attorney.
law.
That's fine.
No.
We have copies of all those contracts in our office.
We don't have them in there. They stay with the county executive and with the county attorney. I can get copies I can talk to Amy about getting copies. I looked through Jake's files and where he left them, and there were no copies of the contract.
Seems like it should be good for us to have a copy.
Just for reference, I think if somebody calls from a precinct, from a place.
I usually don't run into this one. Because most of the time he can answer their question much better than I could answer their legal question.
You don't want him answering election questions.
Right.
He doesn't
Yeah.
want you answering legal
Yes.
questions.
I-
Yeah.
Are you planning with this discussion? I'd be interested in being at the meeting with the county attorney.
Well, I thought you guys wanted to meet.
I did.
I wasn't
Okay.
gonna have a separate
I think it would be a good idea for us to meet.
because this was your thing.
What are we meeting with him about?
To verify and make sure we know what you need. Yeah.
No, I never.
Sounds like you had a question. Because Lauren may or may not know that the county attorney may or not have a contract. So I'd like to know what they tell us.
I'm fairly positive that we have contracts with all of them because last year when we were going through the emergency preparedness, and I was working with the emergency response team, that was one of the items that we had to be sure of. The county executive wanted to be sure because of threat risk that we did have contracts with all of the polling places. So I'm not sure which polling place he said.
Specifically, when we went through the last minute Elks Lodge,
I did that.
there was a lot of discussion. So, and the people at the Elks said to me, we don't have a contract. I said, can we look? I think we do. I'm just reporting. And she said, we don't have a contract. Yeah, just reporting. Which is why this question was generated. We don't want a location falling through the cracks. And this way we can make sure that we haven't lost anybody. And that you're covered, we're covered. The elections are covered, as well as the county.
That's why I think, good to have a copy in the office.
Yeah, I agree.
And I said, we don't have a contract. Fax them the contract. I said, yes, you did.
Looks like it was signed by.
Exactly. Sign and print. What do you do a contract?
Yes.
Sorry. Okay. Next on my is absentee ballot mailing and receiving process.
Speak a little louder.
I'm sorry. You're in the fan. Okay. Next agenda item is absentee ballot mailing and receiving. And I think it might be helpful for everybody. So we know how this takes place. So that we know when, and you may or may not, this may be part of your registrar's discussion. Okay. Ballots are sent out, and you were going to talk about doing a third-party mailing.
And we started that last November. We
did.
used Printellect, who is our voting machine vendor also.
Right.
And they did the first mailing, which is always our largest because that includes all of our ongoing absentee ballots, which would be military ballots, and where people can just request to have a ballot always mailed to them. So that's always our largest mailing. And so last November, we decided it was best to have the third party do the mailing for us.
And just to be clear, that's any request for a mailed out absentee ballot that was received by your office before the first day of in-person absentee vote. Because again, that mailing can go out as soon as the ballots are ready, are printed and ready to be used. So it doesn't have to be on that deadline, but it
has to be 45 days
Exactly.
before. But if we have the ballots available, it could be, we had them today, we could mail them today.
And our office did the requests that came in after the request.
Yes. But for this November,
What about June?
June, we did all the mailings because it was a much smaller number, easier to manage with our staff.
But it was still close to 5,000.
That's a lot smaller compared to 12 or 13,000. But moving forward, we are going to have Print Elect do all of our absentee ballot mailings,
Including all the ones after.
all the ones that come after.
Is that doable within the time constraints the law says?
The law says that we have to mail the ballot out within 3 days of receiving the application.
Within 3 days?
Yes, within 3 days. And so we would send a file each night to Print Elect, and the ballot would go out. So I think their turnaround time would actually be quicker than our turnaround time.
This is all electronic. You get a request, it goes into theirs, that you receive the request, and that goes, and you back, send them
Yeah,
one,
we'll
one
send it
file
back.
a day.
Yeah,
And then what about the ballots come back?
so ballots are returned either through the drop box that's here in front of the office. Someone can hand deliver it to the window, which they do, or it comes back to our locked mailbox. Yeah.
I just want everybody to know that you've got a system. And the changes in the third party, I think, are important because it will significantly unburden your office,
Yes.
because that's been a problem. I mean, I don't mean bad, I just mean it's a lot.
I mean, I don't
It's a
know
lot
that-
to have to take care of.
It's a lot of work on top of us running the in-person early voting precinct, training election officials. Just the amount of work that we have in the office now as compared to maybe 10 years ago, when it wasn't an issue for us to have to mail out 500 ballots. And back then, that was mind-blowing to us. Oh my goodness, I have 500 ballots to get out. When on any given day, now we might have 1,000 we have to get mailed out.
What's Margaret gonna do?
Well, Margaret never packed ballots to be sent out.
Oh.
No. That was never one of her responsibilities.
Anybody else have a comment on this? I think, I commend you for doing it this way, because I think it's much more organized. And it will decrease the load within the office and potentially reduce.
Human error.
Yeah.
Thank you, I was groping for that word. Thank you.
I'm gonna let you know that you want to do this November.
I mean, they wanted to do it.
Oh, yeah. They wanted to do it.
The business.
They wanted to do it for June.
Right,
We
yeah.
were like, oh, yeah,
It's not an issue with
No.
them.
they're ready for it.
And again, just so everybody knows, Al just put like get the ballots at the vote.
They print them. They're a ballot
They're the
printing,
ballot
vendor
prints,
also.
exactly. That's why they call print. Elect.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay.
What are other questions? Are you still going to? I can't think off the top of my head why you're leaving, but are you still going to get a certain number of ballots
Yes.
ahead of time?
The state requires that we do. So we will always have printed ballots in our office.
We have to have. You gotta do it for person.
Nope. We do on-demand
Oh,
print,
that's right, that's right.
but we always have a stash for backup. If all the printers went out, or, yeah, we have a stash.
Good job. I think that everybody's exactly.
Yes.
I'm sure you will. Okay. branch lands. Do we have any updates for you? Because it was a new polling place. I went there. Who else went there? Becky went. We all three went there. And I think from what I understand, we kind of hit it at different times during the day. From my discussion with the chief, they were very happy with the location. It worked really well. They loved the venue. They could see what was going on in the parking lot, which is an advantage. Anybody else?
They didn't have a lot of voters turning up
No.
who belonged at the Dunlora K-Tech site.
But they had some.
They did, I think, one or two, but it
They
wasn't
had
a,
some.
I still wish we would have had a sign saying, if you are a Belvedere resident, not voting here, you voted in K-Tech.
as soon as we put that up, somebody would have complained, I had my car accident because I was
Because they're
trying to
trying to
read your
read the
sign.
I
And
do think in November, probably we should try to coordinate with the police to have a traffic stop at rush hour in the morning, like, for those people trying to. Most people will be turning right to go back to Branchlands, but people that are trying to turn left. It's really terrible.
So hard to do that
I-
at that intersection.
Came out of there and I think wisely made the decision to go ahead and turn right,
Right,
go up to
make
the
a U-
stoplight and make a
if you-
U-turn.
Exactly.
But I think that having
I'll ask
a
her.
person rush hour. I wasn't there in rush hour, really sometimes. And I guess there was no problem with disabled voters or elderly voters using that elevator.
No, they didn't. I asked specifically about that. They had no problems.
I would ask them, I do have some comments. I read my precinct,
Please.
we would discuss it.
Any other comments about that? Okay.
So, I'm not sure. I could make sure I didn't have anything else. No, I don't have anything else on that.
Are there any specific questions or problems from the precincts? And this is June 17th. Hope we haven't had any precinct problems in July.
I hope we don't have an election.
We're not Fairfax and we're not in the 11th. Okay, now that I mentioned it, I want everybody, particularly the registrar staff, to be grateful that we don't have a special election in September. What a mess. Okay. Any questions, problems, things we need to discuss?
And things went okay at the Elks Lodge. I did not go to
Yes.
the Elks Lodge.
Yes, they went perfectly.
With the ballot snafu, it was handy that we had Mr. Schlessel there.
Which ballots?
Well, the correct ballots didn't go to
When they mixed up their boxes.
when they
Oh,
were,
right.
the chiefs were getting loaded, the Hollymead ballots went to the Elks Lodge and the Elks Lodge ballots went to Hollymead. Which on the first voter, when the scanner popped it out and said, "No way, baby,"
Yeah.
this became apparent to both the chief and you guys managed to get them switched around for them. And I think they were able to use the express vote to vote people in their precinct. So
And there weren't a lot of people voting. So that-
no, not
that
first thing in
really-
the morning.
That really helped.
How did they get switched around? I never heard.
What
Police did that?
how we switched it, no, Aaron and Brooklyn, because I think the sheriff's deputy was out somewhere.
He was delivering to
Yeah, he
Earlysville,
was
yeah.
at Earlysville. So Aaron and Brooklyn went and switched about
Free Bridge and Holly.
Free Virgin Hall.
Do we have why that happened? Has that been discussed?
Why the ballots? Well, what I believe happened was they both got rolled out at the same time. They picked up at the same time in the back. They both got rolled out. I mean, I don't want to blame a
We're not blaming,
chief.
we're not blaming, we just don't want to have it happen in
So
those.
don't tell the other chiefs. But one of the chiefs started picking up things from the wrong cart. And the helper said, oh, no, that's not your cart, but some things had already gone in the back of the car. So I don't think that the ballots were one of the things that had already gone in the one chief's car and didn't get switched out. It was just, they were parked beside each other, picked up from the wrong cart and put in to
We
the
need
back
to
of the car.
connect the helpers, the carts, and the chiefs together better
Better, yes.
before we send them out.
And a separation of not both coming out, and,
Right.
Yeah.
which, go ahead, Richard.
That's just one of the things, when I have the ballot office set up, one of the things I asked her to do is make sure she's got the right ballots
Yes,
at, 5:15 in the morning.
exactly.
Yeah.
It doesn't take much. You just look at it and see if you got the right number on it.
Which is a teaching moment that we need to put back in the chiefs and probably in the regular officer.
Yeah, ballot officers.
Yes,
Betsy had
yes.
Some precincts, erroneously they got Republican ballots in the beginning, and I just wondered how.
Well, we've discussed that in a prior board meeting. The ballots were ordered because we were gonna have a Republican primary.
I forgot you just said that.
Yeah, so the ballots were mailed to us. Unfortunately, the ballots were not, separated enough in our storeroom in our office. And when packing ballots, some of the staff unfortunately packed the wrong ballot.
This was only with regard to absentee ballots.
Yes.
Yes.
No
Yeah.
precinct on election day received, Republican ballots. This was only during absentee voting.
Right.
They will mail that.
Are there large labels in the boxes in the storeroom so people can easily identify what it is?
There are, but people were looking for precinct numbers. And so someone went into a separate box that were Republican ballots that were not on the shelf where they were in the same room. Those ballots were not on the shelf with the other ballots. So it was someone who maybe was taking initiative, but not,
Yes, because
unfortunately.
they had run out of the Democratic ballots
Yes,
and
they
just
had
grabbed
ran
them.
out
It
of-
wasn't.
But yes, they are labeled.
Just a comment going back to the switch ballots. The election eve pickup. I got feedback, particularly on the post-election night drop-off, that it was the smoothest ever. I got that feedback. Which was
We heard that.
Good job, team.
They went very well.
Small turnout.
I think it was the chocolate.
I think it was the chocolate. I agree with
I
that.
think it was the staff. Good job,
Okay. Any other specific precinct problems? How about questions coming in to the registrar's office? Because we don't get those.
We had a lot.
guys. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
it was nice.
There weren't a lot of, I mean, the most we had were voters who come here because they think, yeah,
Yes.
this is where I voted in November. Yes, because you voted early.
I popped in during the day. You guys were chilling. I mean, it was-
Yeah, it was not, it was a nice, quiet election.
We did have that issue of the reason for entering the person in the poll pad as a
That's the
provisional.
next, hold on to that. Did we have, hopefully, we didn't get any calls from Richmond saying a voter or somebody was called about a problem and they called the state board.
No, we didn't get any voter complaints. No.
Just
Our
want
friend-
everybody to know
Our
that.
friends did not have a voter complaint this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the audience, if a voter or somebody else sees a quote problem and they don't call the registrar's office in their locality, they call the state board or the Department of Elections, and they have their phones going all the time, and they keep a list. And then they call the registrars, meaning, what have you done here? So we didn't get any of those. Good job. Good job. Okay, now, Jim. Next item is specific questions regarding the new poll pads or the DS300. Jim, you're on.
Well, there are two things with poll pads. One was that some people were successful at entering a person as provisional who had come in without their absentee ballot. And some people were not successful with that. And it was really hard to see. She asked the person, okay, what procedure did you follow? A successful person said, I did this. And an unsuccessful person said, I did this. And they always seem to be the same thing. Somewhere in that process, because there's about 4 or 5 steps in it, somewhere some people weren't doing one of the steps. So, but that's something that we need to work on and make it. We're going to go midway through the day. Lauren said, okay, tell everybody, don't enter them at all. And I sat down, called the people where I'd already been, told them, don't bother doing it anymore. But we have to, if we want to do that again, we've got to get more straight about how that procedure works.
Better documentation, better training. And we
Yeah.
need to know how.
The other thing I didn't realize, because I thought that and this takes back to the whole county security crash, and the fact that we didn't have access to all this stuff until Sunday afternoon before the election. But the street file lookup thing was not actually the one that should be there, and that will be there in November, as Lauren has told me. Because I playing around with it at one of the precincts. This doesn't seem to be doing what it's supposed to do. And I talked to Lauren about that, and she said, right, it didn't. But in November it should. So we should have a good street file lookup. For the public, this is so that you have somebody who comes to do a same-day registration. You need to know for sure that that person's address is in that precinct. And you have a street file lookup to say, okay, put in the address. Where is that? Is that this precinct? Is it a different precinct?
Otherwise, their provisional ballot can't be counted.
So.
Lauren, would you like to?
Yes. The reason that the program wasn't ready was, well, we didn't have internet access for the week, basically leading up to election day. So Gina or I could go in and look at street file exceptions. So once we got our street file, there were exceptions that we needed to review so we could determine what that the person was in the right precinct. But because we couldn't do that review, we didn't want the program to go live because we didn't want someone to be at the wrong precinct. So the workaround was you could just look up the address, but someone already had to be registered at that address for it to bring back a precinct. It won't be like that in the fall. You'll be able to go to the menu. I believe it says like street lookup or street verification. That'll pop up. You'll be able to put in the address, and it won't matter if someone's registered there or not. It'll tell you what precinct it's in. But it's just we needed to work through those street files. And with us not having various access, there was no way to do that.
But was there a reason that we didn't get street files before the internet crash? It seems to me that should have been done.
Well, no, I sent them the street file maybe
You sent them
month or so
exactly.
out.
Exactly.
It's just when they,
Yeah.
I can't say for sure why they didn't have it ready for us to look at.
But we talked about this.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they had the file.
And well, I am.
You can.
I can do that. I ain't gonna throw a hardball on that one. you notified them. We asked them to do it. You asked them to do it. And no, he didn't. So it's not, yeah, you tried to play catch up, which you couldn't do because of the internet problem. But this was something that knowing should have taken care of 2 months ago.
Well, they said the only other locality who had asked, there was only one other locality who had asked for this feature. And so
Doesn't matter.
it was,
I
they
find that
were, I don't, they never told me, I never felt like they were ignoring my request. I would get updates that they were working on it. Just so happens that by the time it was ready for us to review, I couldn't give it a proper review.
so they're working on it. So they're working on it. It's going to get fixed well in advance.
Well, yeah, because now they're waiting for us to go through the street file section, and there's a few hundred. Yes.
Can you explain exactly what a street file exception is? Because we're
So,
going to have to teach it.
well, no, because we're gonna fix there
Yeah,
won't be
there won't
street
be
file
any
exceptions in the system. A street file exception for us is say, someone is we have, Fifth Street, and the range may overlap. And we have it in Veris twice. Like we have to make it one street file. Fifth Street shouldn't be listed twice with the same ranges.
Or
So things like
overlapping
that we'll have
ranges, so
to
just
look at, yeah.
one
It's gotta
list,
be
one,
one,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. So,
If you need board backup on any of that.
What?
And I'm sorry, thank you. If you need board backup because you think that any of your vendors anywhere are not giving you what you need, don't hesitate to ask.
Oh.
I mean, you shouldn't have to, please. I mean, let one of,
you all should know,
Yeah.
my staff will tell you, I am not afraid to tell.
I know you're
them
not. I
exactly
know you're not.
how I feel about the service they are providing.
I know.
And they've heard it lots of
I
times.
know.
So I'm pretty sure with knowing we're gonna get some free services this fall.
Yes.
But I cannot complain, they have been exceptional. They went above and beyond to do things for us when they found out about our internet outage. Like they overnighted us on a Sunday, a huge hotspot thing that probably could have powered half of the building with internet. Like they were very helpful with a lot of the things they did. They were only lacking in some things.
You're going to talk about that in your report, the internet problem. So I don't jump.
Well,
into it.
you have it
I don't
on
wanna
your
jump
list, so I had not included it in my report because it was one of your agenda items.
Okay. Any questions about the DS300? Anybody see any? I didn't see any problems with that. Anybody else? No. Y'all hear anything? I didn't know.
Tyler has to go out once.
Okay.
He's been out a couple other times.
The voting totals at, was it West Ivy, had been zeroed out.
Yeah. And we're gonna put the poll pad training on our
East
training.
East Ivy,
and
not West
Richard.
Ivy.
Yeah. So, because we need to revamp. I know the poll pad guy came, the known guy was here.
Well, that was the second week.
I
So
understand.
you didn't come the first
I was
week
away.
when, what's her name, Angie?
I can't remember.
I
But she was
can't
very
remember.
nice.
She was
She was
and
good.
She was great. I think the people who showed up to training that first week, and he was good. He gave a good
He was
training,
very
but
nice,
she gave a
Yeah.
great training.
Yeah, I was
for a whole week.
We had lots, there was plenty of time for everybody to learn. But the details, when they got into doing it, once again, I think we need to do the same thing again. I'm veering off topic, I apologize. I think we need to do the same thing again.
But I would suggest that it would be more illuminating to not have generic instructions,
Yes.
but to have poll pads loaded with Albemarle data.
Absolutely.
And here's how it works here.
Exactly.
Not, Abe Lincoln is one of our
We don't
voters
care.
kind of thing.
I agree. I agree completely.
I mean, I think that was good for them as a first time to see it.
Sure, but if I was going to do it again, I was going to repeat the thing, I would use our data.
Right.
And specifics that we need to hone in on this. Okay. We've talked about the manual for the offices of election and specialties.
Mhm.
We've already covered that. Gina,
Yes,
do we have a link for the hot watch in December?
yes, we have both A and C because I thought it worked well that we had this area last time as a kind of reception area before we were
because
ready.
weren't ready.
Mhm. So I did reserve both, whether we use both or not, but yes.
What's the date?
In the
I
day?
think it's wasn't it that Thursday?
All that stuff.
I know it's secret. I didn't know.
The 11th.
The 11th of December.
I'm sorry, say that date again.
Wasn't it Thursday, the 11th?
I think so.
I think that was the
I didn't-
Well, actually, it should be in the minute.
It should.
I didn't put it on my calendar.
I didn't put it on the calendar, waiting for us to have an actual room.
But yes, the day that you all had told me was the day that I was able to get.
Fantastic.
Whatever that
Whatever.
day is.
Was it the 4th or the 11th?
December the 11th is.
Was it the 4th or the 11th?
I wrote down
Okay.
December 4th, it's in the minutes, right here.
Then it's December 4th.
December 4th. It's an alternate date.
Very good. So yes, December 4th. It was a Thursday, and I've got both rooms reserved.
Thank you.
So yes, we are set.
Yeah, we all know the hot watch is.
Yes,
Thank you very much.
I guess I had the board meeting date set.
Um,
Richard, want a hot wash after the June primary?
All right.
Okay.
It comes with food.
Lauren, you want to talk about the IT problems now?
So I can't really say because I don't know what exactly led to our problems. What they told me had, I mean, you probably all heard it on the news, the county had a cybersecurity attack. So they notified us on the Tuesday before. Get back to my, I've already erased June from my memory, sorry. So the Tuesday on the 10th, we were told, reset your passwords. We told you guys that, and we went home on the 10th and thought everything was okay. And so then on the morning of the 11th, right around 11 o'clock, they took all of us offline. We had no internet access. And what they told us was they didn't know when we would get it back. And the county executive's office called me and said, how would this affect election day if you didn't have internet? I said, well, although none of our voting equipment is, connected to the internet, we have to get it set up. And we have to use the internet to get it set up.
Well, you have to use
So-
it in person absentee.
Not-
You're loading, but you can't load if you can't have.
If I can't have internet, right?
And there would be no way on election day to have either paper poll books or
Right.
electronic poll books.
Exactly. So.
But other than
our-
that,
Yes, our IT department was, and the county executive's office, they were great because they tried very hard to get us back online. The issues we had, obviously, once the state heard that we had a cybersecurity attack, and however their IT department communicated with their IT department, they knew much more than what we knew, so they deactivated everybody in my office, their Veris account got deactivated because they did not want the disease that we had to affect the state system. And so we thought we had a plan. They got us hotspots. The county got us hotspots that were going to allow just our office to have internet and be on Veris. But what they didn't anticipate is that the state requires that we have a static IP address. So we went home. Well, I went home like on Thursday, and I had Veris access. But when I got back on Friday morning, I did not, because the IP address had changed. So the state was back to, what did they call me? Blacklisting me or something, whitelist. I don't know. I was kicked out again. And so then it took the rest of the weekend for the county IT to figure out getting us a hotspot that would have a static IP address that all of us could use to get all of us into Veris. And the state approving that IP address. Like, I was on the phone with one of the state IT guys while he was in church on the Sunday morning before election day. And I could hear like the organ in the background. I said, "Are you in church?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'm in church." He wanted to help us.
Yeah, we should have gone.
Well, I don't think he was in the sanctuary,
Okay,
but I could hear the actions of the sanctuary behind him. And so we didn't get Veris access, not even the whole staff. I got Veris access back at around 3:30 or 4 o'clock on a Sunday.
I didn't get it
election
till
day.
Monday.
Yeah, I think
Monday
Gina,
afternoon.
Aaron, Alex, and Steve, maybe somebody didn't get it back until election day. Well, maybe everybody was back in on Monday.
I was like
So we
the last
couldn't do
one.
our paper poll books until we got Veris access back. We couldn't print the final absentee reports. We couldn't upload voter credit from early voting, and we couldn't load our poll books, which needed to be ready by noon on Monday. So it was a very stressful.
And I want to give kudos to you for being able to download or upload, whichever you call it, to all 60 poll tabs, get the setup for the paper poll books, and do all that from 3:30 p.m. on Sunday afternoon. And we had it all done by noon on Monday. Amazing.
Well, I can't take credit for all of it. I would like to, though. Thank you, Jim. But Knowing did send
Kelly came.
someone in, a representative came in to help us because it was new to us. So a new process, I didn't want to mess it up in what we had like 4 or 5 hours to get it done Monday morning. So Kelly was here at 6 a.m. on Monday. And we were in the office at 6 a.m. on Monday. And they all got voted. And we were trying to help her, but basically she told us,
Stay out of the way.
yes, get out. You're in my way. Let me do it. And
No.
So
but
Kelly was in Veris.
no.
No.
I download the files. Once the file is downloaded into ePulse, which is the Knowing system, then it's just pushed out
got it.
to the poll pads. I don't need Veris to upload each poll pad. I just needed to be able to pull my voter file from Veris.
Is there a discussion opportunity, or has it already been taken with the folks at Elect and or the Elect IT team about how we are supposed to follow the law if they kick us out of Veris?
There was a contingency plan. Everyone was going to have to use paper poll books, and Elect was going to print them and deliver them to us Monday morning. That was, or Elect was going to upload my voter files for me. We didn't
Choice
have
B
to-
already sounds better than choice
Right.
A.
No, we didn't have to go to either one of those options, but they were prepared to upload the voter credit from early voting and then create my voter file and send it to me so I could load the poll books or print paper poll books for everyone to use.
As a recovering technology person, it occurs to me that there's an opportunity to have a backup approach where we simply have a laptop that you don't connect to anything except the state.
Well, that was one of their requests to our IT department on Wednesday. It had to, and IT was unboxing a brand new laptop for us. But then we had the issues with the IP. You know, Bucky, I'm not very tech savvy, but the issues with the IP address and getting that laptop set up with the security, because Elect then still wanted that laptop washed because it had been in a county building. You know, it had never
Sure,
been used.
it's been
but
attached
it
to
had
another
been
county
near our
machine.
servers, so they weren't very trusting of that brand new laptop either.
I would agree. There should have been, and again, I'm not pointing fingers, I'm not the IT wizard either.
Yeah.
But I think the county should, and the IT people in Richmond together, should have been able to give you a clean space and a clean access to Veris, because I don't understand how, and you can tell us, please, I'm asking you. CAP pre-processing is meeting on Saturday, processing mailed back absentee ballots. And you had to verify before the ballots went over there that they either needed to be cured or not. So you had to be able to clear those ballots that were mailed back, some of which didn't come in until Friday. And you couldn't get into Veris.
Right.
How did
They didn't get any of the ones that we had not scanned into the system. So we had already gotten in however many ballots we had gotten in, and were able to scan them in before we got shut off on Wednesday. So the ballots that they processed on Saturday were not ballots that had just come in Saturday morning. We held all of those
And
things
they got those
until Tuesday morning because we have to scan those in.
Thank you.
So I don't know if they were unclear on where the ballots came from.
I think there was
I don't
They
ever
should've
want any of
asked
this to
us.
happen again, but if it does, whether it's us or one of the other 133 localities, I feel like there could be a better plan.
I think there could be a better plan, but I don't want to, our IT department worked very, very extremely hard to get us back.
I don't think it's
into
dependent
Veris.
on our guys. I think
No,
it's
I'm
dependent on the
saying
guys
I
in
don't want
Richmond.
any out of our meeting to be any sort of negative feedback for our, I mean, they were in our office for hours and hours trying to get us back in. And the people that I talked to at the state, the IT guys, they were working very hard to get us back in the system. Now, the higher ups who I didn't talk to, I don't know what their discussions were, but the folks who were doing the work and trying to get us back in on both sides were more than helpful and taking calls from us late Saturday night, early Sunday morning. But there should be a plan. I don't think anybody had a plan for a cybersecurity attack 3 days before election day.
But if you're gonna have, I agree with that. This is the problem. We've had cyber discussions for years. And if you're gonna hack the system, this is when it's gonna get hacked. And don't think this happened anywhere else in the state. Do y'all know of any other?
Gloucester County has had a cybersecurity attack.
But that was not for this election, was it?
I can't say it was for an election.
It was a,
Just
yeah.
the count, ours
Right.
wasn't for an election.
No.
Happened
It
at the
was,
same
yeah,
time.
it just
No,
happened.
no.
No evidence it was targeted at.
Right.
And actually, our IT department did tell us in Scrub that none of our laptops had been identified as ones that were the problem. So I can't say that the elections office was targeted.
No. I just meant the counties, private. No other county that you know of.
Not
For
before
this,
an
for
election.
this period.
The only other locality I know now in Virginia that has had this type of attack was Gloucester
Boston, that
County.
was.
Are we still, is county government still under this attack?
All I can say is that you will be getting an email.
Ooh.
That's all I can say.
From IT.
You will be getting an email.
Never mind. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, Richard.
Let me ask a question. I don't understand the process and all the tools, the various tools that you use for that. Could you go to another county that was not
Nope.
under attack? It
I
has to be
asked.
done. Okay.
I asked, could I go right down the street to the city of Charlottesville and upload? And they said, no, because your IP address is unique to your system. So I couldn't go there and log in as Lauren Eddy from Albemarle.
Okay.
Because that was one of my first questions. Why can't I just go to the
Yeah.
city and do
Yeah.
all the things I need to do?
I mean, is that something, I don't know who controls all of that. Is that something the board can get involved in and
I think,
ask those
The
questions at the
state
state level?
controls all of that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I think we do need to ask, and that's why we're getting the update from Lauren. So we've got as much information as we can have to ask, because this is serious. Anybody else have any other questions about this? Okay. That's
So everything else in executive session?
I think we need a report from Lauren, that we
No.
haven't already,
No.
we haven't already done.
Well, I
We
had
have a
to-
voter registration list, and then your registration.
So as you all get this, just, because I was curious about the numbers, so I looked back at 2015.
2015?
We had 71,574 registered voters in Alabama. So 71,574. And that includes, active and inactive. That's all the registered voters. So now you fast forward 10 years, we're at 87,951. So in 10 years, we've gained 16,377 voters,
More than 20%.
right? So on average, like 1,600 or so per year. So we're on target, if we grow at the rate we are, that we would reach 100,000 voters before the next 10 years. Or so. So we probably should start planning for, especially in our larger areas, that we need to be on the lookout for places that we could identify as polling places.
For our previous discussion, it's not easy.
It's not easy,
And
so
you've got
we
to plan
should,
it in advance.
yeah, we should start
Maybe if they
looking.
keep shifting votes to early in-person voting and
Well,
absentee
right, that is
voting,
true.
it may not be an issue.
On your list maintenance, this had been confusing me. I think I finally figured it out. The last row, new voters, that's net new voters. Meaning you registered a lot more than
We register a lot,
279
right.
people.
That's
Well,
Because look, in May, you had 87,672 people. In June, we had 87,951 people. That's an increase of 200.
200 because we lost people.
Because we lost people. So
Right.
Actually, the number of people that we registered is maybe 400.
Right.
But that's a little bit hard to capture as to how many are really new
New
voters,
voters,
because
yeah.
a lot of them would be just re-registration.
Well, they're new
Well,
to
that wouldn't
alcohol.
change the number, yeah.
With somebody already registered, sends in the
Mhm.
registration application, they let it enter
Yeah, we're required to.
re-registration.
But if somebody just moves from Scottsdale to Earlsville, it's not a new voter.
No, it's a new term.
It's a new to Earlsville, but not to Albemarle. Thank you.
You're welcome. As part of the registrar update, we talked about a lot of the things that I would have already discussed with you all, but we would like to introduce our intern, Tyler. Gina, you know, you're Tyler's direct supervisor. If you want to give a little more insight into what Tyler is doing here with us.
So Tyler is in a summer program that the city is holding. He's a rising junior at Alma High School, and we have him for a couple more weeks. And he wanted to kind of see things from a voter registration perspective and join us for our board meeting. That's thrilling, right? And we're happy to have him here with us. No, this is it.
Tyler, do you take civics or government classes?
No. We took civics at Lakeside for 8th grade year.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
In our 8th grade year, we didn't have a history class. We took civics.
I think kids don't take government until they go into their senior year. Well, back in the day when I was in high school, we didn't have government until our senior year.
But we're happy to have him.
Tyler has probably folded 10,000 letters.
Yes, he probably has for all those new voters.
Which letters were you folding?
The absentee cancel ones,
Okay.
the voters registration ones, the absentee cancellation ones.
Lots of different
Yeah, there's so many different letters.
Well, we're glad you're here, and I hope you got a good crew with whom to work and teachers, and I know you're asking questions because you're going to be the expert when you go back to Albemarle High School.
Welcome aboard.
So also I have a proposed training schedule for you guys because we know when the calendar opens up at McIntyre, if we don't snatch the dates,
Yes.
Thank
then
you.
we have to keep going back. So the training sessions that we would hold in Lane Auditorium, we tried to go ahead and reserve those rooms for you guys tentatively. And if these don't work for you all, then we'll send Gina back to the drawing board. But we know the fall gets pretty busy.
It does.
So we wanted to get ahead of it while there were dates available to us.
Would it be okay if we all took
Mhm.
your outline home?
Of
And
course,
if we see any comments,
Yep.
put them in an email before the August. I mean, we want to get this
Mhm.
locked
Yes.
down.
yes.
Like,
Right now, the dates you see, we have asked for the
I
reservation.
just asked,
For
yes.
So these
So-
rooms are ours.
There
Right,
was
and-
nothing on the schedule for these days.
Right.
And we have Lane Auditorium and 3 breakout rooms that I requested
Yep.
for the
Chiefs
Chiefs training
At Lane.
at, yes, the county office.
Good.
So yeah, if you guys take a look at your calendars and look at this, hopefully we can get these set in stone.
So every time we have a Lane reservation, we have the auditorium plus 3.
No,
or
just for the Chiefs.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't have it for the election. Because you all had voiced wanting to do breakout sessions for the
Yes.
chiefs,
Yes,
but not necessarily for election.
and then we'll bring all the other trainings back here. Richard, do you have any comments on
Newbie
that?
training would be here, makeup training
Yeah.
and then hands-on training. And we haven't set dates yet for those. We just wanted to lock in those dates at McIntyre.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I don't have anything else. Sorry. It's been a quiet month.
Yeah, right. Because you're recovering mode. Okay, then. Is there any other item that anybody wants to bring up that we have not discussed?
We've discussed everything.
Good job. Good job.
I had a question. I had two different phone calls around the time of the election. One from a Board of Supervisors member and one from a former Board of Supervisors member.
Aren't you special?
Yeah, this is not the group I usually get phone calls from. I seem to be the low-hanging fruit on the electoral board. About a candidate who was attempting to register and hadn't gotten their paperwork in on time, or had gotten their paperwork in on time, and was being told by the registrar's office that they weren't registered. And
They weren't registered to vote?
no, I'm sorry. We're a candidate. This is a candidate.
Well, who is this?
Yeah, that's a fine question.
Well,
Talking about the guy that tried to
are we?
filing in
Oh,
the Dropbox.
he didn't make the deadline, unfortunately.
Okay.
He wanted to file paperwork to be a candidate.
Uh-huh.
He said he came to the registrar's office on
On
Election
election day?
17th and couldn't find anybody. We weren't
Yeah,
here.
right. Yeah, right.
Pretty sure there were people here.
The door's wide
Their
open.
door was
Wide open.
all day. And so that candidate, well, I can't say candidate,
A potential
One of the
candidate.
potential candidate left his candidate paperwork in the absentee drop box
After 7 p.m.
after 7 p.m., after the drop box had been covered.
That would be the black shroud put over
So I
it.
had to review security camera footage
To get the
for
timing.
hours and hours, and he dropped it off at around 11:45 that night. So he did come in the building, the
Mhm.
security, and he couldn't find us because we
We
were,
weren't there.
Gone.
Gone home.
Yeah.
and so he uncovered our drop box and
it
put
in
his
there.
paperwork in the drop box.
Okay.
Which is reserved only for return.
No, I
Yes,
understand.
on the
Wouldn't have
drop
qualified
box.
anyway.
Absentee ballots only. And the code says you have to turn in your paperwork to the general registrar.
By
So that still would not have
7.
been,
Wouldn't have met the requirement.
even if it had been in the drop box before 7 p.m., it didn't meet the requirement.
Dropbox, good for votes, good for ballots, but
Bad
not
for
not after 7.
And we have that
Yeah,
code
yeah.
section
Yeah.
on the drop box.
So
Did
Okay.
you have to watch the film the whole
Yes.
way? Oh my God.
Well, they gave me film from about 5 p.m. on election day until 8 a.m. the next morning. So I didn't have to watch
After.
after I saw him, but
I thought maybe the camera was missing.
do you know when I was doing it? You guys were
Yeah.
making your initial count of how many provisional ballots we had. And I was watching reality TV. It was good
So it's
stuff.
not,
Triple
the
T.
camera is not missing that.
No,
It's a-
I saw you taking a couple of smoke breaks. When you stopped by on election day. Mhm.
Lucky, where did you get those calls from the current and former elected, board of supervisors?
it was a day or two after the election. I mean, it was, not maybe within a week after the election.
Because Clarabelle got
And,
called.
and I was being asked questions about, well, what's the appeal process? I said, well, I don't know much about candidate registration, but I'm looking at the code section here. It's like by 7 p.m. What do you mean appeal process?
Well, when I talked to the gentleman on the phone the next day, he did say we would be hearing from his people.
Oh, good. Look forward to hearing more.
Yeah.
And I
If they
have
have more facts to bring.
Lauren, I guess all of us, Lauren and Aaron, and I talked about it. because I'd gotten text messages, and I got the text messages back and forth. This is the deadline. This is the code citation deadline. You snooze, I didn't say you snooze.
But our hands are
But-
tied. There's no wiggle room here.
There's no wiggle room.
Black letter law.
And you didn't tell the guy, well, you may be hearing from our people about tampering with government property by taking the part of it.
That's good.
Yes, sir.
You had the 2025 election name come out yet? You said July 1 with some new laws. Has that?
Are
No,
you talking about the code of
The
Virginia?
code book, yes, ma'am.
No, it's not.
they haven't delivered them to us. We usually don't get them until sometime in August.
Yep.
Right, thank you.
They have to put the new laws in. We can tell you that for election law, there's some election finance laws that really aren't applicable for election officers, but there are only really two changes from this book to whatever color the new book is that will be germane for officers.
Anyway, that was all I had about that.
Thank you, and I would like to know who those two board of supervisors people are.
I heard from Mike
Mike, who,
Pruitt
okay, and who else?
and Liz Palmer.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for fielding that, all of you.
Thank you, because you showed me the replies you sent that night. I appreciate that you and I were on the same
Absolutely,
listening page.
absolutely. Okay, anything else before we go into closed session?
Did you want to schedule, confirm our next meeting?
I think that's a great idea.
I have it Thursday, August 14th.
Looks that way to
9
me
o'clock.
too. We're on to 9:30.
9:30.
We moved to 9:30.
Thank you. Okay,
Have any issues with August 14th?
Well, that's great.
when is your registrar association? Is that August 5th
That is August 3rd through the 6th.
through the 6th?
Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
And I assume we both are going to this training.
Yes.
Training?
Yep.
Take good notes.
Oh, you have to.
That is the 30th. Well, the
We're playing
morning
code.
session, we are all together. From what I understand, the morning session, we're all together. The afternoon session, they split the electoral board and the registrar support staff.
Okay, Madam Chair, may we take a 10-minute break?
You'll be on video.
In the men's room, I'll be on video.
I hope not.
Bad news.
I hope not. Too much information. Let's smoke in the room.
Okay, all right.
So for everybody else, we're gonna take this 10-minute break and then we're gonna go immediately to closed session. We will come back out of closed session if anybody wants to return. Thank you, Richard.
But we don't know when.
Yeah. It's all good.
I got a question. Sure. I may have missed this, right? This is right. Assistant
We've
Chief.
put together a training program for
Not
assistant
you.
chiefs, people who want to be assistant chiefs and current assistant chiefs, basically trying to teach them everything you need to know to be a chief.
Okay.
So if you get a call, on the night before the election, I can't be there. You got to run the show. You'll know everything. So that's the goal of this program.
Okay, and then when they gonna have?
Yeah, that's a fine question. We've been, first draft of the curriculum was done at the end of February. We've been working forward on
Okay.
getting feedback from the rest of the electoral board. The idea is this will be online. Anybody who's interested can take it on their
Yes,
own.
oh, yes.
And then there'll be an
yes, sir.
application process to become a chief or to become an assistant chief. Of course,
Thank you
meet
for
them,
being here.
But if you're already
anyway,
assistant chief,
you're assistant chief. This is just more training material you can use.
okay, so you have to go through the
You
application.
don't have to go through it again.
Okay, all right,
It'll
good.
be
I
available.
always like to refresh myself on everything.
I forget a lot of things.
Okay, yeah, all right. So when you'll flag us when it comes by. Absolutely. All right, thanks.
Thank you.
I'll be back.
Okay.
I will wait for the
I'm
return.
gonna go
unless
get
you
on Jim.
law.
too long. Having, I can talk to you anytime. Having all of the logs in one envelope that you can open and start copying.
I got it like you here a little bit early just to start doing this.
And you did it. And let me tell you what it was like. Because they were, poor Jonathan, can't find it. I'm in there running the copy machine. That's pretty scary. When I should have been in there. I mean, you got to have them.
Well, I had 10 of them that didn't have one. So I
Yeah.
have to wait until we can meet.
I understand.
I like them separate. So
Yeah, absolutely. That's what the code says. Oh, you can't come in here. Okay, I'm going to go with Jim. No.
I don't like, yeah, because like that delays me because then I have to come up here and then we just wait around.
Yeah, I mean, if we could. But, and I don't, I'm not casting this question
I don't know.
at all. Just. You've got this onslaught of stuff that's on the top clock. You need that. And that's, somebody's watching everybody. So it's right.
Yeah. I wish I knew how many people come so we don't have to have many copies.
Well, you don't.
I know, that's the thing.
You've got three boards.
Yep.
That's it. And in November, there'll be 2 copies, and if there's a.
Yeah.
That's it. This year, you can have the teacher, one person in the provisional case for every candidate that's on the ballot.
Yeah. It's manageable, but it can get out of hand.
They could- Absolutely.
So I'm with you. Don't trip.
No, I'm not. Thank you.
All right, man. Have a great time, Steve.
Hey, how are you? I'm good.
I love it. I have a bottle in my car, and I don't have a problem with that. I love it. Smells so good. You want to be my appointment? You don't know which one. It's the one I wear every day. You smell me, I have it on. But I might have it layered with some shot. Yeah. But Ann wanted to know. I ordered it from TikTok. So I ordered it from the TikTok shop. I have a couple other ones. In September, I'll let you smell. That was my favorite. I love it. Huh? Could be. No, there's another one. I didn't like it once I got it. I'll bring it in and maybe you'll like it. It's called Marshmallow Mist, but it smells too musky. Like I don't like musk. Do you? No, a harlot. I knew it. Remind me, I'll bring it tomorrow because if you like it, because Kyla didn't like it, and so it's just sitting on my dresser. I'm more fruity, floral. Musk reminds me of old ladies. Floral musk. I haven't tried a floral musk. There you go. There's a new one I ordered. Pressed strawberry is like supposed to be the illuminating scent.
Ooh.
I can't wait till it comes in. Do you smell me every day?
No,
That's
but
an
I had
interesting
I had an
question.
allergic reaction to whatever Margaret was wearing.
Oh, well, everybody did.
I was sitting, I was like, why am I wheezing so
You
bad?
were gonna die.
I'm like, I just gotta plan the will. Okay, I have some candles. Do you burn candles at home?
All the time.
I need to give you some because I used to work for Yankee Candle.
Yeah, I
I'm
love
trying to get rid
Yankee
of stuff,
Candle.
so can I give you some?
Do you have Macintosh Apple?
I don't.
That is my favorite Yankee candles. But
That's
I
it.
love Yankee Candle.
That's the only apple I eat, Macintosh.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Yankee Candle. I was so upset when the one in Barracks Road closed. Mhm.
Okay, I have some stuff for you.
Okay.
Free for you. Please.
We like in my bathroom and the kids' bathroom. As soon as I get home, I light a candle. Just because you know the bathroom gets that watery, like, or maybe it's just my house. I don't know, but you know
I was.
that smell, and I don't like it.
Well,
So I
I'm gonna
always
make some
have a
stuff,
candle
so
lit in my bathroom.
I'll bring it tomorrow if you're here tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm here.
Let you smell all the one. There's about 30 of them.
Really?
Well, I'm gonna give you a melter. It's an amazing melter. I'm trying to sell it right now, but I'm gonna give it to you for free.
I was gonna say you're gonna sell it to me, Alex. That's gonna go on your evaluation.
No, I'm gonna give it to you for free.
Oh yeah, I love Yankee Candle.
And I put it in the bathroom, so I'll give it to you. So
Okay. You have any of the car air freshener?
I have a couple of them, and they got mini ones. Got the jars.
Alex, I'm coming to your house tonight. I'm going through
I'm
all
still
the
waiting for
stuff.
us to go to dinner, like, or go to road
I
trip.
went, guess where I went last night? Bonefish.
Oh,
Wine Down Wednesday. So
okay.
they had $5 wine.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
cocktails. I think it's $5 on Mondays.
Yeah.
I love that.
Martinis and margaritas all day on Mondays are $5.
Today's happy hour or half off at Melting Pot all Thursdays.
Yes, and last night at it was $7 bang bang shrimp. It was a good day to go. Yeah, and it was spur of the moment. My cousin, she lives in Richmond, but all of her doctors are still here, so she had an 8 o'clock doctor's appointment this morning. Came in town last night. We went to dinner. But I still have basketball. Oh, my evenings are crazy. It's time to have basketball practice. This evening, if the rain will fall, we have football practice. Oh my God, Kyla was at the beach with one of her best friends. And she called while I was with her. She FaceTimed me. They had just gotten there. She was so happy. Like an hour and a half, but it couldn't have been that much long because we were still at dinner. She FaceTimed me and she was like, Mom, come and get me. I said, what? I'm driving to get you tonight at the beach. Whoa. And I said, what is wrong? And it's, girl stuff. Her and the best friend, they already had an argument. I said, well, it's because you all spent too much time together today. You were in the car together for 4 hours. And now you're hanging out all evening. I said, just, y'all work it out. Because I'm not driving to the Outer Banks tonight to pick you up. And so I called her around midnight. And they were up laughing and talking. I said, see, I would have gotten just past Richmond.
No, we're still.
And you guys would have been fine. And I would have
Jim is still on break.
The Outer Banks is a pretty good drive from here.
4 hours.
She wanted you to come down from
Yeah.
here?
Yes.
Did you explain where the trail was?
I told her that. She just had to work it out. She's on her best friend invited her to come along for their family vacation. But I think they've had too much
Much quality.
yes, they've had too much time together.
Part of growing up is so we would make decisions.
Yes. Yeah.
In the office? Oh, I didn't turn it on. I'm usually
I didn't turn it on.
You want me to?
Gonna be that long?
I'm drinking
Famous
grapefruit
last
juice,
word.
so I didn't turn it on.
Yes, sir. Well, let me get some water. Water.
Bourbon?
I feel like you have a number of things to do.
If I need to go, if I need to go home, go.
Make sure we're on the same page.
You don't have to fuck out.
And then I'm trying to get rid of these too.
What are those?
You can put like fake candles in there. They light up.
Ooh, you got any purple?
Oh.
Well.
Crazy?
Oh.
That's why I was asking the question. Anyway.
Right. You didn't even show up today. Girl, bad. You're so smart.
Lauren,
Yes, sir.
the person you spotted on video, what DNR?
He was in farm.
That's what I thought.
That cannot be who Liz Palmer and Mike Pruitt were
That's
calling
why I
about.
was surprised.
That's why I was
I
asking.
think they were referring to another candidate. Mr. Mitchell.
Oh, maybe.
He is on the ballot. There
So
was
what was his
questions if he had paid his filing fee.
But he doesn't pay that to you, he pays that
He pays that to finance.
to finance.
Right. And he had put on his paperwork, his initial paperwork, that he was an independent candidates who aren't running in a primary don't pay a filing fee.
Because they're not running.
Right.
Right.
Mr. Missile is on the ballot.
Well, that probably accounts
For
for why I
November?
haven't heard back
Yeah,
from
you
either
have,
one of
yes,
those
for the
people,
November
because
election.
that problem is
He's on,
sorted.
he qualified for the ballot.
Was he ever told that he wasn't qualified?
He was never told that he wasn't
Okay.
qualified.
Well, why were they?
Well,
why were
first
they
of all,
paying
we've
for
never spoken.
Mr. Missile has never called us.
We have not even
His
talked to.
representatives,
that? Right.
But the little
guy,
guy
looks like he's our intern.
who stalked us for days and days and days,
Yeah.
he's come up here. But he said someone told him, or someone told their campaign. So he never divulged where he was getting this information from, that there were issues with his paperwork, with Mr. and Mrs.
Wait a minute. The little guy that looks like you're is a candidate or is somebody on the
No,
His
staff?
that's the
representative.
campaign manager. and
Maybe
was
it's
his
the
title.
manager.
He's the
Okay.
campaign manager.
Okay. He told me one day he was waiting to talk to Lauren Eddy.
Right.
I said, well,
You said you got a long way.
I know. Fortunately, she's not here today. So that's probably who,
Yeah, probably. That makes
because I
more
don't know
sense.
that they would be interested in
Calling about a Republican.
Clarabelle's guy.
No.
That's why, when you said the two of them
The
called him,
two, right.
Well,
Are
but
they interested?
the fact that neither one of them called me again suggests that
Yeah.
this problem was
It was
resolved.
resolved.
Okay, is everybody ready? Jim, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Based on code section 2.23711, we are going into closed session. We are going to discuss
She says that's right.
review of new election. No, it's not.